somebody who knows the law. Now, Osaka Sembi. Momi ankotie nsɛm bi a ɔkafa ɛyɛ Torkornoo asɛm no ho. Biwia na makyerɛw why this woman is forcing herself to be grouped or to be added to the pin brain people she has been referring to.
I'm very sad about it. It has really saddened me. And maybe in a way I feel very distressed by it. Yes.
In terms of the conclusion that was reached, where the matter has journeyed from, is the sadness as a result of the conclusion, or you have questions about the procedure that took place before that?
The sadness is about the whole process. My sadness is because as far as I'm concerned, it was a very unnecessary. We have been taken through a very unnecessary situation, and which, as far as I'm concerned, and that is my honest and candid view, this has so weakened the institution of the judiciary. It's not so much the individual who occupies the position. It is the institution. That is what I'm concerned about.
I mean, what informs the conclusion that it's an unnecessary process? I mean, we have heard even government spokesperson make the point that a petition was sent, a committee in line with the constitution was set up, they've looked into the matter and they've come to a conclusion. Which aspect of it, what specifically makes that necessary?
I think that, you see, there has always been something wrong with Article 146, and particularly with the procedure that it sets out, and especially as it regards the position of the Chief Justice. In the Ajay case, I took the opportunity to reflect on that weakness that I noticed, and are these and these are not so, to me, they lack the gravity. They lack the gravity that would lead to a grave outcome, such as the removal of the head of an institution of justice. I've deliberately phrased myself that way. It trivializes the position, and I wonder what this is going to lead to further on along the line, because every judge is fair game and every Chief Justice is also fair game.
I mean, is that to suggest that you suspect there could be a ripple effect in that?
Oh, definitely.
Any matter,
it's not suspect. I foresee, not tomorrow, maybe not next year, maybe not in 5 years' time, but along the line, yes, unless those provisions are dealt with effectively in a revised constitution.
Maybe a more direct question. I have seen the letter that was written by the Secretary to the President to the former Chief Justice,
and that's the other thing. A warrant, a person holding a presidential warrant, that's what the position is. It's you become Chief Justice because you have received a presidential warrant. You can receive all kinds of letters that you are hereby appointed, but if you don't have that warrant, does that make you Chief Justice? Yeah, okay. So if you're removing the person from the position, is it a subordinate who signs the letter? Is that the way it's supposed to be done? That's just by the way. Food for thought.
Yeah, but I've seen a warrant as well signed by His Excellency the President.
So why are they showing us that one? I've been receiving all kinds of messages, and every one of them is only bringing out that letter. And in any case, is it polite? Is it proper that it should be a subordinate who writes a letter of removal to a Chief Justice? Really?
So, Uti and Samuel Kenyana, it's more of a moral argument than a factual one, not based on any facts. In Samuel Kenyana, I'll say, oh, Yabusana say, do you have a problem with the procedure? Meaning the due process. She didn't really want to answer. Also, the whole thing has been an unnecessary situation. Later, also, the provisions, no, she has some problem with it. But as a former Chief Justice, she could not state one thing that she has a problem with. She vaguely threw it out there. Because you, as Madam Sophia Ekufo, I cannot just come and say, I have a question with you being appointed by Ekufo-Addo as the Chief Justice. I need to prove beyond that for people to understand that I'm making a valid argument. It could be that I don't like you because of your name. It could be that because you have Ekufo in your name, it's making me think that you are a relative to Ekufo-Addo. But I cannot just come and say, Madam Sophia, I don't know why they made you the Chief Justice. I need to prove. So if you, as a former Chief Justice, you have an issue with even the procedure or the due process that was put together for Torkornoo to go through, you should have at least stated one infraction, something that is against that process that you are calling unnecessary situation, for people like us to understand where you are coming from. Because now you are speaking like anybody on the streets. In fact, if somebody comes and hears you speak on TV and does not know who you are, or is not a Ghanaian, they will not even have an idea that you have any legal background. They will think that somebody just went to bring their mother to come and sit on TV to speak. Because you are not making any argument from the statement you're making to prove that you have, with all due respect, the experience and with all due respect, the intelligence to make a case than the ordinary person walking on the street. Because just saying that the whole procedure or process was an unnecessary situation does not justify that the process was supposed to be done. If you want to prove to us that you are better, you have the experience, and that what you are making, the statements you are making, are not basically based on moral and basically based on speculation, you are supposed to go further than the argument Chairman Wontumi will make. Because the argument you are making is like Chairman Wontumi sitting on any radio stations to speak on the Torkornoo matter. With all due respect to you, madam. With all due respect. Or see, there's always been a problem with Article 146. Or see, that article now, John Mahama, any president to be able to say Kufuor ejina so, and making sure the due process has been dealt, has happened. Or see, she has always had a problem with the Article 146. We never knew she had a problem. She was Chief Justice for over 8 years or 8 years. She was just Chief Justice, I don't know the number of years, but it wasn't 8 years. She never spoke on Article 146, even when she was Chief Justice. When she was Chief Justice, she also received the same petition, but she never had an issue with Article 146 until today. Her party, her brother Ekufo-Addo, and her friend Torkornoo also had to go through the same process. So suddenly, she has always had a problem with the same Article 146 that she applied when she was Chief Justice. Into one baby Ofriba, she is picking and choosing. This is a woman I respect a lot. Dear, why you are caught in me? But at least she needs to prove beyond the say, you are a former Chief Justice, you are a luminary, you are an intelligent person when it comes to the law. You cannot speak vaguely, because people like us are waiting for people like you with experience in the law to make a point that we can say, yes, she based her argument on this fact. But you are basically speaking like a normal housewife who is relaxed at home and just telling us about what happened in the market. You are not basically distinguishing yourself from normal people on the street and a former Chief Justice and a judge of the Supreme Court. Now, you being a Chief Justice for 3 years, we handing over the judiciary to you for 3 years, it wasn't an easy thing. Now, how can you just sit on TV and make due process, constitution, yejina so take a decision, how can you just sit on TV to make it look like, say, the course illegal? Now, she went on to say this. She is saying, we should revise the constitution. The constitution reform team or revised committee, it is there. You have all the right to go to that committee and present, because you could being a former Chief Justice, I think they will listen to you than me. So if you have a problem with 146, if you have a problem with some things in the constitution, you cannot sit at home and put on makeup and make it look like it's not something that concerns you. You have every right to put those concerns together to give to the Constitutional Review Committee for them to look at it, because you are a former Chief Justice. You don't put on scarf, shine your face, wear glasses, and polish your grammar like we can't speak English. You can equally write your own piece and take it to where? Take it to the Constitutional Review Committee. You cannot just sit there and speak like a laywoman, with all due respect to you. You cannot bring down the level you have been so low that when you speak, we don't see any signs of somebody who has legal intelligence, with all due respect to you, madam. So, sometimes when we listen to you, after listening to you today, I was shocked, because your argument was all pushing you into the bracket of the pin brain people. Because the pin brain people, when they make arguments, they don't have any facts to base the argument on. And that is what you have done today. You are forcing yourself to fall into the bracket of the pin brain people. You have always been telling us that they are not smart enough to make a case, to be coherent, and to make intelligent submissions on national issues. You see, so a judge just sent me this. Former Chief Justice Sophia Ekufu's comment on the removal of former C.J Torkornoo is highly casuistic. The judges even have a problem with your submission on this matter, especially when you are a member of the Council of State that basically also received the petition and gave it a green light. So you are becoming a sycophant, with all due respect, madam. Now, let us know who Sophia Ekufu is. Is she a sycophant? Is she somebody we can basically sit back and say, you are a hypocrite. You are not being realistic and honest with Ghanaians. You are playing with the emotional part of the issue instead of you being factual and basing your arguments on evidence and facts. What she is trying to do, and what we saw, is that she's not being factual. She's being emotional. She's trying to make a moral argument instead of a factual argument. And anybody on the streets of Ghana, including Chema Wuntumi and Abronye, can make moral argument, emotional argument, and not anybody can make factual arguments. And you, as a former Chief Justice, when you get the opportunity to speak, you need to force us to understand that you are smarter than Chema Wuntumi. You are smarter than Abronye. You have been in that position before. You know the law. You are above majority of us. But when you make these baseless, fake, these weak arguments, it makes it difficult for us to see you the way we see you now. That's why I'm saying that I don't want to group you in that bracket of pin brain old woman, because pin brain people are not able to base the argument on facts. Now, let's go into calculation a little bit. When we go back into history, this woman called Madam Sophia Ekufu, she was the Chief Justice for 3 years. Now, this is something that we need to go back and analyze. When Charlotte Osei, people petitioned the president to say, Yenyi Charlotte Osei, Madam Sophia Ekufu had been appointed about 6 months. And when Madam Sophia Ekufu was appointed as the Chief Justice, within that 6 months, Grandpa answer nobody bear 6 months, 8 months, no. she initiated the sacking of Charlotte Osei, and she initiated it and based everything on Article 146 that she is trying to tell us she has always had a problem with. The same Article 1469 that she's always had a problem with. It has been the same Article 419, or it was the same Article 419, or it is the same Article 419 she based on to make sure Charlotte Osei and her 2 deputies were sacked from the Electoral Commission. We are trying to let people understand, say, you're disrespecting penny for. But you're penny for ni bi we need to correct them before they die. Because all say, oh, yeah, maybe I do point to be now when you now refuse, now say correct to what. Or the sa atrono and sa nyomano to be womb, and that is what we are trying to prevent. Now, avoid contempt against committee probing EC officials. CJ warns when Charlotte Osei assemble by Madam Sophia Afenyo extra letter the chair Ghana for say, Mema obianka asem no ho asem kura o media so. Say unim now kwatena TV so now we discuss it. A petition na ye de abre no. You're president, you're you are what court mraso, contempt of court at you. She basically wrote a statement and put it out. That is autocracy. Oka obiaka kasabwa shedi yem. This is Sophia Afenyo. They me born the video channel. She was the Chief Justice then. Time a petition nearby no. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo gave the petition to her. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo didn't give the petition to Charlotte Osei to study and her deputies. Like the way John Mahama gave the petition to C.J Torkornoo to study for 10 days. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo received a petition against Charlotte Osei and her deputies. She did not give Charlotte Osei the room to even look at what is in the petition. No. He quickly gave the petition to Sophia Afenyo as the Chief Justice for the process to start working. In the time Ekodi ni hono and or release statement. I'm talking about Sophia Afenyo. Yeah. Avoid contempt against committee probing EC officials. Time petition ko do committee enim na omu probi petition no na CJ Emma Ghana for nyina warning. Wa we ye bema ana oba obebusa question. Obe raise issue. Obe question system no. You what contempt at show. You bet you what. This is the same woman who today is telling us, say, ya boni, emono, enche obe wunti, yentie ono nyansa, with all due respect. Now, when you read the story, this is what it says. Let me enlarge it. The facts are there. This is City. Date Shaso, December 19, 2017. Reading time, 4 minutes read. Or the 4 minutes of a kind story in a way. Ain't facts in the amount. You read the story, no? The Chief Justice, Sophia Afenyo, has formally constituted a committee to investigate the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, and her 2 deputies over corruption allegations leveled against them, with a caution to the general public to desist from making demeaning comments about their work. Miami way at the committee. Akufo-Addo in second petition and the man as a Chief Justice then. And on the Coma committee, a T committee, and on sexual letter Ghana for Sobianka Nuntum. Nobody in Ghana. This was the warning from Madam Sophia Afenyo now to Wakasano. With all due respect to her. Me person who the kind of people, the pin brain people, no, and I make sure no. These are people we have to be careful about. Today, she's part of the Council of State. Now, I'll call the second paragraph. This is what it says. Already, some members of the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, have started criticizing the process, accusing the government of seeking to hound the EC boss, Charlotte Osei. Into that time, now started starting, and the NDC for started say, Omokasa say no. CBA process ne kone de. I say, abane faso ekwambiso apam Charlotte because NDC forecast say, adenti ne Akufo-Addo nsaka petition no one farmer Charlotte ready. Or the Coma Chief Justice. So the NDC were making an argument to say, if the president even wants to, based on Article 1469, to make sure the due process is followed, why is he not giving Charlotte Osei the room to even look at the allegations before moving the petition to the Chief Justice? So the NDC started questioning. When a Chief Justice ethics committee ni wie no osade warn in the break Ghana for say nobody should speak. In fact, let me read the rest of the story. When you read the rest of the story, this is what it says. Let me enlarge it. There are some people we are not supposed to take serious again in Ghana. This is the story. This is what it says. The Chief Justice, Sophia Ekufo, has formally constituted a committee to investigate the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, and her 2 deputies over corruption allegations leveled against them, with a caution to the general public to desist from making demeaning comments about their work. Already, some members of the opposition National Democratic Congress have started criticizing the process, accusing the government of seeking to hound the EC boss, Charlotte Osei. The 3 officials met, the 3 officials met the Chief Justice a week ago, where they were notified. This is city reporting. My mention of the Charlotte Sophia Afenyo, how dangerous she is as a former Chief Justice. Story say the 3 officials, meaning Charlotte Osei and the 2 deputies, the 3 officials met the Chief Justice a week ago, where they were notified that a prima facie case have been established against them. It's when Akufo-Addo received the petition. That petition Akufo-Addo received, he never said anything to Charlotte Osei and her 2 deputies. All that Akufo-Addo did was that he moved the petition and gave to Sophia, who is the Chief Justice. And what Sophia did was that Sophia just called them and told them, say, I have received a petition from the president and that a prima facie case has been leveled against you.